welcome back to IndieFaith podcast. You're here with Jules and Mary.
Hello.
If you've been following us already, thank you so much. And if you're new to our channel, welcome. We are a Polynesian podcast, mainly focusing on discussing topics that we are all uncomfortable to talk about, and we aim to normalize these conversations, to help break generational curses, stigma, and stereotypes, in the hopes of uplifting our Pacifica people. At the same time, we also like to celebrate our people's successes. But what's also not limited there, we have our pop topic as well, pop topic segment, that are focused on a more broader scale and not just specifically for islanders. This week we have a massive main topic, so we kind of cut out the pop topic for today.
Yeah,
How are you, cuz?
I'm good. It's been the weather is not my friend this year. I've been getting sick a lot. My baby's been getting sick a lot, and then we'll get better, and then we get sick again. But other than that, I'm okay. I'm all right. Cuz, how about you guys?
Yeah, we're good. Recovered from the flu, recovered from gastro. So yeah, we are good at the moment. The sun is out today, so we're happy
It's such a
about
nice day
that.
today.
Also, I actually forgot, I just realized, but I think we're on now 2 years. Is either
Yeah,
coming up soon or well, basically 2 years in the game, podcasting game.
crazy.
So yeah, I can't believe it's been 2 years. Like, time flies.
I feel like a lot's
Um,
changed from when we started
yeah,
to so much has changed.
yeah. And we've
Yeah.
we've had periods there with massive gaps as well. If you're just tuning in, we are we're moms as well. And it's just things have been
And we have
pretty
jobs
busy.
as well.
Yeah,
Just a
full-time
gig. We work as
jobs.
well.
um so yeah, but we're also we don't like to record unless we have something that we really feel as well. So usually, if there's nothing that we can think of that in the moment, we kind of delay it until we find something that we feel strongly about. And that's today's topic. So today's topic is, should abortions be illegal? So just to give a bit of context around this, in 1973, there was a case in the U.S. Supreme Court, so the Roe versus Wade case, in which the court affirmed the right to receive an abortion under the 14th Amendment, ruling that abortion were constitutionally protected up until I think about 23 weeks, when a fetus could be able to live outside the womb. I think with the exception that there was an exception that it will if it will cause harm to the pregnant woman. Fast forward to this year, so with the Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, I think happened last week or the week before.
Yeah,
Was it last week?
I think it was the week
I
before.
think it was around then.
Yeah.
That they overturned the Roe versus Wade case, and so they ruled that there will be no federal constitutional right to abortion. So it's now up to the states to regulate abortion as they see fit. However, the courts also ruled to ban abortion after 15 weeks gestation. And then apparently, I'm not exactly sure about this, but some states will retain permissive legislation so that they can they'll keep the abortion rights, but other states are completely banning it.
Wow.
And and for the ones that are choosing to keep their rights, they still up until 15 weeks. That's the if it's after 15 weeks, then you can't have an abortion. Yeah. So here in Australia, thankfully at the moment, we haven't nothing's changed, or not that I'm aware of, but we still have our rights here. straight after the case was overturned, the New Zealand Prime Minister, Jacinda, made a public announcement that abortions should still be a choice. So it looks like they're not changing anything down there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just in light of, like, what's happening with this case, and I thought, like, and it's been pretty much the topic on all social media at the moment. And then, yeah, we both decided we wanted to bring this to the table as well and have, a discussion about it on our podcast. And we put up a poll recently, and just to, see how, our network feel about it as well. And yeah, so I'll hand it over to you guys with the poll results.
Yeah. So pretty much, I'm pretty sure the poll was specifically just to see if abortions should be illegal. So that was the poll we put out. 24% had said yes, 60% have said no, and 16% said not sure. It's a tough one. We did get a few responses. Gonna keep it anonymous because we did say that we were gonna make sure it was private and we're not gonna out anyone. Let me go with one first. Okay, so one of the voters who said yes, it should be illegal, said that. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. They had said they'll add their 5 cents, and depends on one's worldview on how one sees the embryo. Because they are a person of faith, the embryo is life, which is why they chose yes to abortion being illegal, as all life is important, even those under difficult circumstances. Putting the faith argument aside, on a personal point, abortion has trauma attached to it. So I think they had an experience with a girl who had an abortion and would drink a lot as a way of self medication. Having a support system through the process is needed, but that's probably another topic. For me, abortion has too many downsides, and I know there are different situations such as rape, but I do know that there are married couples who would be open to adopting children because they are barren. So that was their look on things, and that's the reason why they voted yes, it should be illegal. Another person who responded said they put down not sure because their opinion is of both sides. So, just to keep it simple, two things have happened since the introduction of abortion. It is way too easy to access, and it has become the plan B when people are careless about the actual plan B. And I totally sort of agree with that. I don't think it should be illegal, though. There are exceptions to everything. There is a minority of women, young ladies, girls, even who, for whatever reason, were made pregnant against their will. These circumstances should be reviewed and compassion given to the victim if they wish to keep or if they are unable to go ahead, without judgment or prejudice. But only under these circumstances would I say abortion should be allowed. We need to look at our society and culture today, what is being pushed on every social media platform, and take responsibility and accountability for the sex culture that is clearly being pushed, that we, one way or another, allow. We have come a long way from when women had to wear cloth rags or pads. There are many contraceptions available for both men and women. More also needs to be done regarding education, sexual intercourse, and the responsibilities men and women hold in this two-part activity. I would hope those participating in actual love, I would hope those participating in it actual, I think I'm reading this wrong. I'm so sorry. They actually love each other and are aware of the consequences, both physically, emotionally, mentally, when this act is performed. It is so much deeper than skin, which I feel has been lost, and hence why unexpected pregnancies have skyrocketed and abortions have risen. Until we actually address these layers, people will continue to manipulate movements just to fit their own agendas. So I really like that response. And the next one was a good little discussion I had with with one of our newer followers with regards to this, but it was more of a we sort of were more in the same sort of on the same sort of page regarding our opinion towards this. Personally, they believe it should be legal. 100% it should be illegal. Just in case you can't see, what did they say? I'm so sorry. They don't understand why people disagree. What righteous high ground do you think you have to tell me what I can do with my body when you don't know my personal circumstances? They think that. So that was their opinion. It was really, really interesting to read.
Yeah.
If you want to start abortion rights, if you want to start at abortion rights before looking and fixing everything else, including yourself as an individual, I believe you need to have a coffee and wake up. There was a lot. There was because we went into different things as well. So somehow gun laws came into it as well because obviously the severity of how huge of a punishment it is to have an abortion compared to the gun laws. That's another thing we talked about. Obviously, there's heaps of different other things that come with this particular topic, but that's where we're going with that. So thank you so much to those who responded. I really enjoyed reading everyone's responses because it gives us an idea. And I think what I enjoy the most about these polls that Jules always puts out, thank you so much, Kaz, is that we respect each other's views, even if we disagree, because it gives us more of an insight into like someone else's opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but you still have to respect it. And that's what I think I enjoy the most about when we do these polls and questionnaires and everything. So yeah, those were the responses we got, which was really surprising because we did have a pop topic but decided not to go with it because we ended up realizing, hey, this is going to be a long episode. People are responding. People sending heaps of responses. People are sending and it wasn't small responses either. It's not like short ones and everything like that. People had a lot to say when they did respond, which I really appreciated. So thank you guys. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks so much, Cuz. And yeah, thank you to everyone that voted on the poll as well. Like that's probably the most reactions or responses that we received. And it was so interesting. I thought that we'd get a lot more on the not sure side, but we actually like 60% on the no.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly like what Mary said, it's good that, even within our circle, we have, differing opinions as well. Like, even just seeing some of the, this, out within our own family as well, for example.
Yeah.
Like, we have some families that are for yes and some families that are for no. But the main thing is that, we can have these conversations and yeah, like be respectful to everyone's opinions. Yeah, and then we could probably all learn something. Like all those responses that you read out as well, that was just like spot on. I agree with everything they say. Like I think that they raise a lot of important points on both sides. And it's it's really cool to see the different perspectives. Yeah, so like thank you again to everybody that responded. And I wanted to go into what our thoughts. Do you agree or disagree, and also why?
So that I was one of the people who thought I wasn't sure. It's a tough one. The reason
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to
no, it's okay.
so said do we agree or disagree or not sure?
August, because I am not sure but more because it's different for everyone. So people are straight on the like, no, it shouldn't be illegal, and the others who are like super like, yes, it should be. As far as abortion goes, I believe I am pro-choice. That's what I believe. I'm pro-choice in the sense of like people have the right to choose. They should have that right. I had the choice, so my daughter was not planned. She definitely wasn't planned, but it was one of those. I still had the choice to decide what I was going to do. I had options, and I think for me, I was free in having those options. Made it way easier for me to decide on what I wanted to do and what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a right everyone in the whole world should have, not just women and men. Everyone should have the right to have choice. That's why I am pro-choice. So when people say, "Oh, so you are, you're for abortions," I didn't say that. It's not that I'm for abortions. I'm pro-choice. I am pro
Mm,
someone making the decision for themselves because it's got nothing to do with me, none of my business. How I handle a situation would be different to theirs. That's up to them. As far as abortions go, me personally, I would not do it because I have a different view on that itself. For me, that's just for me myself. So if I am to, obviously have sex with someone and I didn't practice safe sex, that's on me. And if
mm,
the if I was to fall pregnant because of my actions, I have the choice to choose, and my choice would be to have the baby because for me they're there. They exist. People disagree, which is all good. That's fine. Um, but for me, when you get pregnant, you're obviously pregnant with something. Like when people say, they're just cells or they don't exist or, but what are you pregnant with though? Like you're not pregnant to
mm,
nothing, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I don't think I'm pregnant to nothing.
mm.
So do I agree with abortions? I don't for myself. Do I disagree with it? I do, but for myself. It's one of those hard things to try and figure out and explain because I have so many
Yeah.
loved ones, so many friends who have done it. And the
Mm,
situations they were in were not easy ones. It's not like they went into it lightly and they just like, I got pregnant, I'm just going to do it. They obviously had to figure it out for themselves, decide what was best for themselves, and that's okay. There's no judgments
mm.
there. Like, who am I to judge? But for me personally, I don't
Yeah.
agree with it, but that's just for myself. I don't agree with abortions for me.
Yeah.
What about you, Kaz?
Um, I'm the same. Like it's it's a real fickle one. Like I think people why we argue a lot about, not just this topic but a lot of topics is because everyone's so black or white. Um, I find this is just it's a very gray, like it's in the gray area. you know, um, so just like what one of the responses was saying, it's based on circumstance as well. We don't know people's situations, and like we should not be judging people's situations. For me, I am against abortions. Like personally, like I am on the fence, but like hear me out. So like uh when it comes to like, a lot of women who, do it for the sake of just having abortions because, you weren't bothered to take preventative measures in the first place to not fall pregnant. I'm against that. Um Especially like for me, like there is a, it's still life. Like I regardless of whether it's just a fetus or whatever stage, like to me it's basically a life. Now once you find out you're pregnant, you've got something living inside of you. That's based on my own opinion. Also, like for me, yeah, I think before, you know and I know it's like it's hard. We're talking about the stage where you're um looking at abortions, but like where is the push for like like contraception? Like we're all fighting over like abortions, but there's not much. I don't see many people fighting over like the preventative measures that before you get into that
Yeah,
circumstance in a way. um like for me, like personally, I always look at kids as a blessing, like no matter the circumstance. Just like one of the responses say, and also just like what are the other response, like it is based on circumstance. Because um, I why I'm on the fence is because I also believe at the same time I'm for abortions, mainly because I look. This is gonna sound really harsh, but because I look at so many people and I'm like, these days, and I'm like, fuck, you should not have been a fucking parent.
yeah,
Like, especially the ones who abandon their kids out on the streets, throw them in the trash. Like these newborn babies, you find them in the trash. Some are in potholes, some are like, buried in the sand, some are flushed down the toilet. And like those are all true stories, by
Yeah.
the way. Like these things actually happen. Like for me, it's like, wouldn't you rather, if they're not, if the, wouldn't you rather them have been, um aborted, sorry for lack of better words, than them actually living they're newborn and like you kill them, then you know what I mean, like, or you like leave them out so that they can like torture them and stuff like that, like, and that's where I'm like for abortions. So I'm a bit on the fence with this one, but for me personally, like, I would not, like, just exactly what you said, that like, no matter the circumstance within myself, if I fell pregnant, that's my responsibility. That's how I see it. That's my mindset. Um, but yeah, I don't like, we have yeah, like you said, we have family members that have, or like, friends as well that have gone that route. No, I don't judge them at all for the decision that they make. Like, I think, um, it's each to their own kind of thing. Like, if they choose that, then yeah, cool, good for them. But personally, I would not choose
Yeah.
that. But overall, I think my answer would be like, should abortions be illegal? I think no. I think we gotta have that right to choose. Like, there are so many valid exceptions and extreme cases where abortions is the best solution for that individual. You have the victims of rape, when the actual pregnancy causes a decline in the mother's health. um and like, this is probably another controversial one, but I believe that they should have a choice if they know beforehand that their baby is going to be severely disabled or critically ill, um and they know that they're going to have a really hard life when they're born. The other one is like, if they don't have the finances to support the child, like, or they're homeless, because a lot of abandoned children are by homeless women. um yeah, so like those kind of circumstances, I think, like, we should at least have that choice to choose that. um yeah, I would never personally choose abortion for my babies. Again, like, as well, my babies were unplanned. But both like Rob and I were, we were like, if it happens, it happens. So we didn't take the preventative measures and that, because we were like, at the same time, I was also having trouble falling pregnant, so I couldn't plan anyway. But so, like, for me, it was like, yeah, if it happens, it happens. We're ready. We were ready. But like, obviously, if we knew for sure that we wouldn't be able to take care of the our kids, I would be like 100% vigilant with birth
Yeah.
control. Because for me, like, abortion is not an option. But yeah, that's my take. That's my take on it. But like, like I said, that's my own opinion. And I respect others' opinion if they want to choose that route and that. But I think it should be at least open as an option, for women. But in saying that, like, it's actually a good segue to how this episode is structured. So now that we've expressed our views on it, I also wanted to sort of break it up into like just to be fair across all all board. So the women's perspective, the women's take on this, the men's take on this. I also wanted to get a cultural perspective as well on this, and then lastly, we'll go into the conspiracy perspective around this. So for the women's perspective, so like what's the general perspective for women, and what are the impacts if it were illegal to have an abortion?
Like here in Australia, cuz
Yeah, if it was like illegal everywhere to have an abortion.
I think for me as a woman, um, and I'm not trying to say it's really hard for me to explain because I'm not super religious, um, and I'm not saying all religious women are against abortions. I'm just saying that what am I trying to say? I know that I have friends and family who are religious and believe that no matter what the circumstances, you shouldn't have an abortion. But I also know that some of these family members who are religious, they are for it as well. So it's really confusing for me,
Mm.
because I grew up in an environment where like obviously we weren't taught about sex. We weren't taught about safe sex. We weren't taught about abortions being an option. We weren't taught about contraception. We weren't talked about like we didn't discuss these things. And for me as a girl living in our world, um, the reason why my view on it is the way it is because we grew up in a home where we women do a lot. We women do a lot, and I feel sometimes that we get our rights taken away or we don't get enough rights. And this isn't me being a feminist. This is me stating facts of
Mm.
me being a Samoan girl growing up in a Western world, where we girls do a lot, but we also don't get a lot of choice. We don't get a lot. We don't really have a say. We just do as we're told, and that's it. Whereas times are changing, and I've got a daughter, and if that was happening to my kid, and she, came to me, she told me there needs to be options. I feel like it's important for all
Mm.
people to have options and to have a choice. So for me as a woman and everything, I feel like I don't know if I'm making any sense.
No, you're making complete sense.
I think my perspective on it for women is like no one cares about the dude really. Like I'm not trying to start some shit. I'm honestly saying no one cares about the guy. Like the guy's body, his sperm, his whatever. But a lot of the focus has to do with the woman, and I get it because she's the one that carries the baby. But like, how many men actually wear protection? Like, let's be real. When it comes to like doing it with a dude, the girl is the one who has to like be on contraception. She has to be on the pill. She has to be on the rod because obviously she's the one that's going to carry the baby. But what I'm trying to say is, if there were more dudes out there as well who thought, hey, maybe I should take some responsibility. Maybe I should protect myself. Maybe I can make things a bit easier for the woman. Because the girls have to think of everything. We have to cover everything. We have to like do everything. If we do get pregnant, they can just leave. Like they can just take off and live their lives, whatever. Whereas we have to carry this baby for 9 months. Obviously, it's our choice. If we choose to have the baby, it's our choice. But I'm also saying like it took two people to have this kid. And I still believe like two people should also have the talk on what they're going to do if she does fall pregnant. I think I'm making that's what I feel like in like a lot of the talks I have with people is, or the girl gets to decide. She gets to decide whether she has a baby. There's women who have the baby and who don't want to have the baby. They want to have an abortion, but the father of the baby doesn't have a say. So then how's that fair? And I get it. I totally get it. But the majority of people I know who like have babies, the girls end up being the ones like having the baby. They not having the baby, but they take care of the baby.
Mm.
So I think that's where I'm at. For me, yeah, we women have rights now. If we choose to have a baby, we choose to have a baby, and if we don't, we don't, and that's okay. Just like no one questions a dude on what he does with his body and his whatever. That's up to him. I feel like women should get the same right.
Mm.
That's where I'm
Yeah.
at, cuz. What about
Um
you? Excuse me.
for the general perspective of women that I've you know, some of the tweets, some of the comments and stuff like that I've seen. Yeah, basically, like they all say exactly the same point as well. What I've seen is, you know, there's just all these circumstances of why you know, it should be legal. Like it shouldn't be illegal. A lot of women are looking at, you know, this case as like, you know, give like pretty much they've taken away women's rights, um, with, you know, illegalizing it. And also, you know, women have argued that, you know, we take significant risks as well, you know, when we fall pregnant, along with major changes to our bodies. So it's a my body, my choice. You know, that's the general perspective that, you know, women have. Um, but yeah, the biggest thing, and I kind of agree with it as well, is the women's rights. Like if this is, you know, was so easily overturned, um, and it meant that, you know, they were illegalizing it, what does that mean for women? You know what I mean? Like that was a massive win for women's rights. And now, you know, since 1973, and now it's like been like completely changed. And it's like, so, you know, so I don't have rights to my body now. You know what I mean? And it's, I think that's the main concern, especially with, you know, women. Um, and I found this survey online, and it was in 2004. It was a survey that was conducted on a number of women for reasons why they wanted to have an abortion. And the top three were, so the results were, the top one was it would interfere with their education, work, or ability to care for their kids. Um, two, it was that they couldn't afford a baby right now. And three, um, that, you know, was due to relationship problems and they don't want to be a single mom. So that were the top three reasons why, you know, they wanted to have, you know, that abortion is important as a choice for women. But yeah, I think a lot of people argue, you know, that it's because of the parents or the spouse that, you know, forcing them to have the abortion. But in this survey, it was fewer than 1% that said it was because of their parents or partner's desire for them to have an abortion. I think like the, you know, everything, it's not like back in the day, like in 1970, like back in before then, like I think, you know, it was a lot, women were, you know, their role was to be a housewife. That was it, you know. But now, like these days, you can't live off just your husband's income. Like women are now in the workforce, and you know they have to provide for their family and that. And so the general, like, you know, idea is that, well, if I'm going to be invested in work to provide and, you know, make sure that we're okay financially, um, then I can't have the time to have kids. Or like, you know, if they do fall pregnant, they should, you know, and that right is taken away from them. How are they gonna, you know, financially support their family as well as, like, you know, the child that, you know, that they basically had to have? um it's all well and good to say that, yeah, well, you should have wore protection. I was like, yeah, cool, but like it's happened. Like what? Like, you know, what options do we have? And if that's taken away, and it's like, well, like, what do
You
we
don't
do
really have
then?
much choice.
Huh?
No, like they don't leave you much choice.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah, like that's the general perspective that, you know, a lot of women have, and why they, you know, and the impacts that this case could, you know, happen, like could cause for women, is that, you know, is their rights. But then how is it fair, you know, that these rights are taken away from them, but they still have to do everything else, you know what I mean? Like, you know, still have to go to work full time. Like, for me, I would love, like, this is me personally, but I would love to stay home and just look after my kids. But
Yeah.
financially, you cannot survive just on your, husband's pay.
Yeah.
It's a two income world now, and like, it's so hard to, work a full time job, come home, and then you have to look after the kids. Also, it's so hard to organize, like, someone to look after the kids while you're at work.
Yeah.
Like, that's the most stressful part. Like, trying to paying for daycare as well. Like, there's money gone to that as well. And then even with the kids at school, like, you still gotta, like, figure out how to, who's gonna drop them off, who's gonna pick them up, like, all of that. It's just so stressful. So I can see why, there, is a decline in a lot of women sort of, like, rushing to be mothers. But yeah. So just on that, we'll move on to the men's perspective, and I wanted to, what are your thoughts on the general perspectives from men, and like how this will impact them if it was ruled that it was illegal for women to have abortions?
Is it mean that I say that men don't care? I don't mean it like that. I mean it.
No, that's valid. That's valid.
I'm just, um,
Mm.
it's not that they don't care. I don't think there is much impact to a man because, as I said, it's the woman who gets pregnant and she ultimately makes the decision. What was I going to say? I had something. I think their general perspective is most guys that I know, they support whatever the woman wants. So if they get a girl pregnant, they ultimately just go with what the woman wants. So if the woman's like, that's generally what I get from most guys who I've known who have had the pregnancy scares, or they found out their girlfriends are pregnant, or one night stands, those sorts of things. They most of the time go with whatever the woman decides to do. And sometimes I feel like it's a teeny bit of a cop out, but I also understand it because we have to decide. The women have to decide because we have the babies and we take care of them, and yeah. So I get it, but I'm also I also believe that it's not much of a big deal to the guy. I just don't think it's a big deal to them whether it's legalized or not. I do. Okay, it's not that I don't believe that it's not a big deal to them. I feel like if they were to get pregnant and then they found out having an abortion is now illegal and they didn't want the baby, I feel like that's the only time a guy would be like, oh crap. Like, I don't want this. Like, don't make it illegal. Like, those guys who aren't prepared or aren't ready to be a dad, or stuff like that, and the girl's decision is to have an abortion. I think those instances, obviously, a guy's going to be impacted, and he's not going to, because it does affect them. The reason why I said it in the beginning where guys don't care is because I think it doesn't necessarily impact them that much. But I feel like if they're the type of dude who doesn't want a kid right now, isn't ready, isn't in love with the mum, it just happened, it was unplanned, that's when they would sort of take a stand. But right now, I don't see a lot of dudes who really are that fussed about it because it doesn't impact them at this as much as it does for us women, if that makes sense. Because we have the choice, whereas for them, they don't have to worry about it unless it was to happen to them.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
I think the general perspective, like, there's a little bit of a mix as well. From with the men's perspective, also talked to my partner about it as well. And there were like reasons, like or some of the perspectives was, for a religious man, like, who would want to bring kids into the world, it would impact them. But yeah, like you said, most men, like, they believe that they are excluded and irrelevant to these conversations anyway, because it's, like you said, ultimately a woman's body, and, they have no right to it. But the impacts of that are, that they are forced into fatherhood. So for example, like, in some cases, like a woman will say, I'm saying some cases, a woman will say that they are, on the pill, but they're not. And, then they fall pregnant and hold that child over the father, either to keep them in a relationship or for financial support, in some cases. But then on the other hand, on the flip side, you have like some men in committed relationships that really want to keep the child, but like have no say if a woman chooses to have an abortion. And the general perspective and the impact is that they feel it's unfair. Some of them feel it's unfair that they don't have the same equality when it comes to choosing, how do I say this? They say it's unfair that they don't have the same equality of choosing to provide financial support, but they don't have a say in choosing to have an abortion.
What do you mean?
So when it comes to providing financial support, they don't have, like, for them, they don't have the same rights as women do, where we can choose to do that. Where for them, sorry. So with men, right, they have to provide financial support if they have the child. They don't have that option to not pay. But then women have the option to have an abortion or not. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not fair. Like, there's no equality in that sense.
Yep.
For men. Do you know what
I
I
know
mean?
what you mean, but I also a teeny bit disagree, because a lot of men don't pay. But I get what you mean, where at least they have the choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Totally get that. So I understand that view, and I completely agree with that view. But I think for me, a lot of men I know who get women pregnant, I'm so sorry,
No, you're all right. Hi, Papa.
who get women pregnant don't pay anything. They leave it all to the mum to sort out. The mum and what are you agreeing to? The mum and her family choose what to do and how to support the child. But I get what you're saying. That's a valid point, because they do. The men have to actually pay, but they don't get a say.
The other thing that they were saying is, this perspective from men is that men have very little choice when it comes to contraception. So they only have condoms. Like, I don't know what to.
I feel like that's all they really do have, though.
Yeah, so they only have two options. They have condoms or vasectomy. I'm just finding it like so uncomfortable to say in front of Papa.
I'm trying to get her to like go.
Like, Mommy, what's condoms?
She chooses the most best time to come out and.
Nah, that's all good. Yeah, so they were saying that men have very little choices when it comes to contraception. They have only condoms or vasectomy, which is reversible. Whereas women, like, we have multiple options. We have the preconception contraception, so like the pills, we have the rod, we have is it IUD? Yeah. But then also after doing it,
Yep.
we have that option of the morning after pill, and then after that we have the option of abortion and adoption. So for them it's like, well, they have, like, we have all of the, like, I think it's just to counter the argument that women say, well, why don't you wear protection and all that? But then if, like, they're saying, well, you have like the majority of the options, we only have two, and some of them don't even work 100%. So like, I think for them, it's like, you got to look at both sides. That it's unfair to put that all on the man as
Yeah.
well. And then I had some questions that I wanted to raise as well on this on men. So some scenarios, right? If a man wants to keep baby, but women sorry, okay, so if there's a couple, right? If the man wanted to keep the
Mhm.
baby but the woman didn't, but then she ends up having the baby anyway, then when they break up, they both agree that the father takes and raises the child. Should a woman have to provide child support?
Yep. 100%.
I think so
100%.
too. Yeah.
Like I think my issue a lot of the time is, women want equal rights, but when it comes down to it, they're just like, oh, we don't want that to happen though. It
Yeah.
sucks, and
Yeah.
I think it sucks more because sometimes, in my opinion, um, from my experience as well, is sometimes the dad or the man gets paid a lot more than the woman. But you made a kid, so you got to find some way, get two jobs. Like you made a kid, you got to pay child support. In my opinion, help support your kid. If you're not going to raise them, cool, but help
Yeah.
support the kid. Sorry, cuz.
And in the circumstance where I'm for, like, you should, I think that you should provide child support. Now that there's a child in the picture, like, it should not be about the relationship rather than being about the child. But like, there's that case with if the man, like, say, checked with the woman and say, are you oh no, so sorry, if she tells him that she's on the
Yep.
pill, and he, like, he's like, okay, cool, they do it, and then she falls pregnant, and then he doesn't want, like, he's already said he didn't want to have a child, and now she's pregnant, but she's deciding now that she's gonna have this baby regardless. Should he pay child support?
I don't think so. I think see, this is what makes it hard for us women, the women who try to do the right thing and try to have rights. And if you trick a man, that's on you, man. If you told him you're on contraception and you weren't, or you weren't taking it responsibly, because I feel like, obviously, before you do it with a dude, in most cases, you have that discussion. You talk to each other. You're like, hey, you're on anything? Um, you know, is would having a baby be something we're both wanting right now? No. Okay, well then we have to figure out measures that we need to take to avoid having a baby. But I get really frustrated with women who do those trickster ones where they say that they're on contraception, but they're not, because then it brings an innocent child into the world who has to suffer going through ugliness, and filling their heads with these sorts of things where the dad didn't want to be there, or the dad didn't want you, or the dad, but it wasn't fair because you were dishonest to begin with. So I feel like in those situations, the dad shouldn't have to pay child support. You wanted to have the baby, you didn't make him aware that you weren't on contraception, you tricked him. So because you did something wrong, you now expect him to pay for your actions, because they were ultimately her actions. You can say it takes two to make a baby, but yes, you lied. You lied and said that you're under the pill.
And I understand where a man would be protesting that, because like, they got manipulated into it. And there are, like, a lot of cases like that. Like, it's an actual legit scenario that I've seen a few times as well, is that women
Sorry.
Especially when it's like a man that is wealthy. A man that is wealthy, that's usually the case. where they will use pregnancy to
Trap.
um yeah, yeah. And like I feel that it's almost like you need to, like, and this is what a lot of men feel, is that it's almost like they have to like draft up a, like, or send through a contract
Yeah.
and sign it before you actually um get busy. like,
I
like
mean,
I just, yeah, I do in a way feel for, like, some of the men, especially, like, I don't agree that they should be just shut out of this conversation, because it does impact them as well. And, like, their opinions matter as well. Like, I also see a lot of, like, there are a lot of cases where the even with child custody, like, you obviously know the father is a better parent, and the mom is, she could be a drug addict, she could be, like, a con artist or something, but they can't get, custody over their, kids, because she's the mother. Like, it's I feel for, like, in that aspect, I feel for the men. Like, I obviously do not, condone the behavior of some men that, do the wrong thing. I also don't condone the behavior of women that do the, wrong thing as well.
yeah.
Um, like, I just find that, those few people who do the wrong thing ruin it for everybody else. Exactly like you said. And I find that there are some men out there that are, like, legit, that, like, even men that, want to keep the baby and would, they, like, love to raise that child because, like, especially religious men, like, or not even religious men, but some men, that's their baby, that's their, they already see that as their legacy, or it's important to them. And then, if a woman like, just turns around and, has an abortion
Yeah.
and is gone, like, it does, like, have an effect mentally on men as well. But yeah, like, we do have the physical and mental impacts as women, because we carry the child. But I think some of, I don't think they should be ruled out in the conversation as well.
Fair enough. I think that's cool, cuz.
um all right, so we'll move on to the cultural perspective. So I want to get our thoughts as Pacific Islanders. And has abortions been a big thing in our culture?
Dun dun dun. How am I going to word this? I think in our culture, it's not talked about, but it 100% happens. 100% happens. Um, I like I've known about things, I hear things, and I think it's sort of the norm, which is pretty sad.
Mm,
Um, in the sense of when it's a teen pregnancy or anything like that, that is an option. I find that our people consider, but because of the whole religious side of things, no one says it or no one talks about it. So even though
yeah.
I think my frustrations, this a lot of things are frustrating me. How annoying! Can I calm down? What are angry? What are? Why am I like this? Why am I the way I am? I'm sorry.
No, you don't.
How am I trying to word this? I'm trying to find a nicer way of saying things. I
Just say it how it
I feel
is.
like
Say it how it
yeah,
is.
I feel like our people can be hypocrites when it comes to
Mm,
abortion. And I say this because, sometimes we are very judgy people. We come from
mhm.
judgy families and judgy stuff that like growing up in a judgy environment, it's very confusing to us to figure out what is the right thing to do and what's not the right thing to do. So you get told, this is the wrong thing to do, this is the wrong thing to do. But then when something happens and abortion is something that's considered, it's very confusing for me, to figure out what that means. Obviously, there's no judgment. That's not what I'm saying. My issue is our in our culture, we don't talk about it, but it does happen. And I feel like it
Yeah.
happens because we obviously don't want to have that sort of shame in our family. It happens because, you know, it was out of either teen pregnancy, out of wedlock, didn't want it with this particular individual. It's forced on the girls, especially young girls, because we're so what's the word, impressionable, and we just do as we're told. And I feel like that's the reason why I do get very frustrated, is because it silences all of us girls. It doesn't give us a
Mm,
choice, and that's where my issue lies, because we do a lot for our families, we do a lot within the community for our families and our men and our, not just men, just for everyone. Women do a lot,
mm,
and then when something happens, it's automatically, it's judgment. It's, we need to do this. um, Abortion was considered for a lot of things, but I don't understand how that was an option. That's where I'm confused about, because there's a lot of, um, growing up, you're told a lot of things aren't the right things to do, but abortion is one of those things that you're not supposed to do, but you're okay with doing it. That's where my confusion lies. So what I think about it, I think us islanders do it. We just don't talk about it. I don't think anyone actually
yeah.
does talk about it, but it's not as open as, like it's as it is now, where it can be
Yeah.
discussed. It can, people are open to telling you about it, about the experience, how it affected them, why, what their reasons were behind it. It's a lot more open than it is within a Samoan, or for me, a cultural sort of, well, Samoan family.
Mm.
What do you think, Cuz?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the same way. Like the traditional views as well. Like I think that for us, um, at a face value, it's like no way is that an option. But then there are those circumstances behind closed doors where it happens. Like they just don't want it, out in the open that people, that their daughters got an abortion or something like that. But like some of the, which is why when some of them did decide to, take the Western route, like it was another thing that was thrown under the under the rug. This is one thing that I don't think was like impacted by colonization for the first time. I think that before Christianity was introduced, because a lot of people would say, especially islanders would say that the reason why we feel strongly about against abortions is because of our faith.
Mm.
I also think that it was our faith pre-Christianity as well. Like we always, our cultures always valued, you know, the the baby, like and pregnancy, birth. That was like a high thing in our cultural
Mm.
society. Um, a lot of pre-Christianity as well. A lot of people believe that the baby, as soon as it's conceived, and it's a fetus, it's it carries a high spirit, and it's like pure and everything. Then once the baby's like born, and they're in, like they enter this world, it's kind of like that spirit kind of diminishes and it fades away. Um, so I think like anybody who was to take that route of abortion, it would be like really looked down
Mm-hmm.
upon in society. Um, yeah, and I think that's why a lot of people um do it undercover, like because of the impact or what it would seem to people or how they would judge you. Like I know overall, like say there's like we're also very scared of being judged as well. like island families, especially, parents' generations, grandparents' generations, they're very prideful people. And if like there was anything that would sort of tarnish their reputation, like you said, with their daughters, getting pregnant out of wedlock, and or like just getting, you know yeah, pretty much that, like they got pregnant and they're not married. That's very looked down upon in our cultural society as well. So, but because they don't want to look like that, like be judged, they will do it undercover and sort of, force their daughters to go and get an abortion. It's not even like there is no choice for the girl. It's just like, no, this, it is in this circumstance, in our, like what I reckon with our cultural society is that in this instance, it is the parents' decision for abortions. Like for us, like, it's like exactly what you said. Like, we have no choice in a lot of things that we do. We just get told what to do. Um, and yeah, what's funny? I won't say which culture it is, because I'm not 100% sure, but there is one that, like I was telling you about the high
Yeah.
spirit feeder, in as soon as you conceive and you have the baby, you're pregnant, they carry a high spirit, and then, when they're born, it kind of like it goes away, the spirit, because it's now touched by the, this sinful world kind of
Right.
thing. Anyway, so what I read was, that I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I understand now why they don't have abortions. But then they say, oh, so because now, like when they're born, it's okay for them to be destroyed. So some of the women, I forgot what it's called, infanticide or something like that. They would, so when they give birth, they would pretty much like uh crush the baby's skull with their thighs.
What?
Mm.
Like what?
Yeah. So like
I'm trying to.
so when so when, when she's giving birth, right, she will squeeze her thighs together to compress the baby's skull, like to kill him. So they're against abortion because the fetus, it's like a reverse, completely reverse to what the Western society views
Yeah,
are.
very diverse.
Yeah. So for them, it's like, no, 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 you can't have an abortion, but you can kill them when they when they come
What the
out.
hell, man?
It's like, what the? Yeah.
That shit is bad. Blah, blah, blah.
I know. But yeah, that's
How strong would you have to be though? Like, like, like. So is this while they're giving birth?
yeah.
Bro, you're
Uh,
crazy.
yeah.
Like it's
If
really like traumatic down there as far as pushing out a baby. But then now I'm thinking how they crush the baby. I'm like, oh my god.
I know, like, yeah, it's crazy, eh? Like you then think abortion would be like a little bit merciful.
Yeah, man. This is
Yeah,
probably a
well,
conspiracy.
that's definitely that is actually like a fact for
That
some
is crazy.
Polynesian cultures. Yeah, that it's
What?
the reverse, that you keep abortion is a no because they, high spirit everything, but then after, yeah, you could do you can do whatever after that, which is, yeah,
I mean,
flipping
to be fair, I
crazy.
don't think they would know how to perform an abortion. That's probably why they also say you can't do it.
I think this. I'm not too sure if this is a modern thing. Like it's been a thing
Oh,
throughout generations, and they're still doing it. But now,
he's still doing it.
I'm not 100% sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but it was crazy when I read that. Like, yeah. Um, but
Interesting.
yeah, like I think exactly what you said. Culturally, like it's very taboo. No one talks about it, but we do it. We do look at abortions as an option. It's been some of our older generations solution to cover up their reputation and their image in, church or just in the community. Because like the thing that they were, concerned about is that if I allow her to, go full term with the baby, have the baby, it's not even about whether, the responsibility of looking after the child. It is strictly, the image
Like an
and how it would reflect badly on them and their parenting.
Yeah.
I find, Pacific Islanders are just so scared of judgment.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yes, like 100%, we are very judgmental people as well. Very
Yeah.
judgmental.
And I get it. I totally get it. Because it's very scary being judged by other people. But I think like my issue is like I said, I'm pro choice.
Yeah.
I'm pro choice where it should be up to the individuals who got pregnant, even if they are teens. Like, but at least you considered them and what they want to do. Because I don't understand how family members and every other family member can decide, but not the two who it's actually happening to.
Yeah.
Specifically the girl. That's where I'm at.
To be fair, like, well, I'm not gonna just paint our parents out to be like completely evil. But to be fair, like there are, it just came to mind that there are some parents that actually, in a way, in their heart, the intention is good because they're like, for example, a teenager falls pregnant. So for them, it's like, looking at their future is pretty much like wasted in a way. And now like they can't do anything if they're going to raise a kid. And that might be, a solution that they look at, but they hide it because it's no one's business anyway. No one should be prying into that. It's a private matter. And if, they both agree, that this is, the option, then, like, why is it anyone's business? Like there are those cases as well, but yeah, like generally, like majority like there are those that are just, they'll will force their kids to go their daughters to get an abortion. I think hopefully, our generation are a lot more open, but I think we are now anyway, because a lot of us are out here in the Western countries anyway, so we've all adopted that style of living, including like these options like contraception and stuff like that. I think that was another big thing, back in the islands, back in the day. Contraception was a hard thing to get as well. So like, yeah, I think like there's it's not a black and white matter in any of it. Yeah. That was. Oh, actually, I had this thought. No, it's gone. So I wanted to. So this is why I left this one to last, because it's a very.
When you said that one, I was like,
so
this is gonna be interesting. She
found. So conspiracy perspective. So I had the question out there: any conspiracy theories about why the US have illegalized abortions? The reason why I call it conspiracy is because like any opinion that is like goes against the narrative of the majority, it's not, no one considers it relevant, so that's why I called it conspiracy. So but so some are saying that it's funny that some people who are advocating my body, my choice were singing a different song when it came to the COVID vaccine.
Oh shit.
Like the narrative was when it comes to the like last year, the COVID with the
Yep.
COVID vaccine, people were saying like legit, literally saying, no, it's not your body, your choice. How is that fair?
I actually saw that. And when I saw that, I was like, damn.
Just on
I
that
mean, it's
as
fair.
well. Yeah. Like I'm
It's
probably
fair.
like you'll see a lot of people be like, you know, it's different. And you know, what were they saying last year? Last year they were saying herd immunity. You know, it's different, like different circumstance, because it was the reverse before when everybody was saying, no, it's not your body,
Get the
your
vaccine.
choice. Yeah, the people who were anti-vaxxers, is what they called them, said, well, what about abortion? You said, you know, your body, your choice. Where is it? My body, my choice now. But now that abortions are, you know, illegal now in the States, it's like, oh, what happened there, mate? But just,
Where's the energy, mate? Where's the same energy, mate?
I
Now.
know. Where's your what do you call it? Your what do they call those people who go on witch hunts? Where's your
Protest, mate.
yeah, exactly.
Where's your sign? Now we're sad. We look like our ass, man.
I had to throw that in there. This is what I mean by it can't be just like, you know, black or white.
Yeah.
And
Never.
last year was
Yeah.
really bad, really, really bad. It caused
Yeah.
so much division. It was like, oh my gosh, like just the way people would look at other people. If you know,
Yeah.
even now, the people that are not vaccinated still can't get jobs. Like, you know, are still not
Yeah.
accepted. But yeah, um, I had another thought on that as well. With the oh shit, I can't remember. But yeah, that's what some people are saying now. um, uh, Also, with there were concerns that if the US are doing that, is other people following suit, other countries following suit. Apparently,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not 100% sure on this, but apparently UK are looking at not illegalizing it, but they're looking at tax for people who don't have kids.
What do you mean? Sorry, cuz? Like with abortion?
No, for like for people who have kids, right? So their, you know, household income is a lot lower and everything. So what they're doing is for those couples who don't have kids, they're gonna tax them more so that it kind of they're equal.
Mm.
Which I don't know if that's true, but shit, that's
I
gonna
don't think that's very fair.
yeah, no, that's
I guess, like, if they choose to not have kids or they can't even have kids, they're gonna get taxed.
exactly. So I don't know if that's a like at the moment that's just a rumor. I'm not 100% sure if that's legit what they're looking at. But yeah, that's what is out there is that's the approach the UK are looking at. The other one
They
is
don't.
the other theory of why, you know, this happened, why the case was, you know, overturned and why they're looking at illegalizing it. For me, like you know, government don't just like they don't just you know do these rulings out of note like because they care about people's rights and stuff like that. There is always an agenda, always an agenda. So um I don't know if you look at you know, stats and stuff, but like there is a major major decrease in birth rates. And if you, I found this graph. Where's the source? So it's like I'll put this graph up after I've edited it. But it's like you see the total fertility rate from 1940 to 1960 it goes up, and then from 1960 to 1980 it just dramatically drops. So
Wow.
yeah, so the at the moment we're still at the below the line of you know how much like the average you should be meeting, and it's
Oh.
yeah. So U.S. total fertility rate is dramatically declining, and if you look, and also I was looking at the chart on just the average population, annual population growth. So again, they started the Census Bureau. That's where I got the information. So they started the analysis from 1909 to 2020, and you see that. So from where it started, so 1909, it's like so high, and then you just see it drop, like right down to 2020. Like it staggered in a couple, like the first probably decade, and
Yeah.
then sorry, and then around I'd say 1950, that's when it started declining. So you've got, like, you look at the fertility rate and you look at the population growth, and they're both declining like at a rapid speed as well, and it's by a huge number as well. So like, I don't know,
Oh, okay. I
there
think
is
I'm
that conspiracy, yeah, that maybe the actual real reason behind illegalizing abortions is that they need those numbers to grow. They need more
yeah.
births, they need more population, because it's the population of people in the country that run the infrastructure of that country. So every industry is affected by the population.
Mm.
Economy as a whole is affected. If we don't have the standard number of population, like, all those industries will fail. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And then the whole infrastructure of the country would also fail. So then, like, what
Yeah.
would happen to us then? You know what I mean? Um, yeah. So that was pretty much the main conspiracy theory.
Those are interesting
Um,
conspiracies, though.
yeah, like, because, like, I just, it's funny because you look at it and it's like, well, like, if they legalized it before, why the hell now, after how many years, do they just want to
Yeah.
overturn it? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just so random that like, especially at this point where we've gone through a pandemic as well, like, all of this shit, and now they throw this, and it's like, what is the real reason? Like, it can't just be
Mm.
about abortions. There's like something behind it. But yeah, that's like one of the theories is that they're just trying to boost it.
Yeah.
And you also, like, look at, for example, look at when you look at China. They had a overpopulation at one point, and then they introduced the one child policy. So, like, every couple is only allowed one child, and
Yeah.
then at the moment it has declined that much that now they're pushing a 3-child policy now, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it looks like it's like overall globally, the birth rates are declining, the population growth is declining. So it'd be interesting to see, like, looking in the next, few years, like this is US's measure of what they did, which was illegalize abortion. I'm interested to see what the other the other countries are going to do with
Yeah.
this problem. But yeah, that like I think like at the same time, as much as we're arguing amongst ourselves about the surface level problem, like there's the people that are have made these decisions, there's another reason for it. And yeah, while we're bickering about it, like where there's it's like the what do you call it, puppeteering happening behind it all. But yeah, also the other thing I wanted to note was Rob was saying there's a TikTok guy that's giving out tips at the moment to a lot of the people in the US on how to get an abortion under the radar. So that's another impact about illegalizing abortions, is that it's not going to stop them from doing it. They're just going to find unsafe ways to do it now. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's all of. Oh no, there was one other one. And I just remembered it now. It was along the COVID vaccine bit.
Yeah.
But like, remember the last time when I was saying when we had that topic on COVID vaccine, and I was saying, look, if we give up our rights here, watch what the next rights that they're gonna start tackling after.
Yeah.
And then this. Well, it hasn't happened here in Australia, so we're very lucky. But like, you can sort of see it now happening in other countries. And if it's true that UK are looking at taxing people who don't have kids, like if that was legit, imagine the people that are now just going to go out there and pump out babies so that they don't have to get taxed. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of things that are in the works, I think, because I'm very into my conspiracy theories. But yeah, I think there's a lot in the works behind what we see, and yeah, there's an agenda behind a lot of it, and we're starting to see that come out now.
You're right.
And that's another thing. Like they were saying that some people were saying as well that if this is what they're going to do to women, imagine the rights that the gay people just got with gay marriage being legal. Like, is that going to be taken away soon as well? So a lot of people are in the States are concerned about their future. Like, this has impacted everyone as a whole more because they're all trying to fight for equality, especially the minorities, all minority groups, and if this was a big loss for pretty much all of them in a way, because if it was so easy to remove that right from women, imagine what they could take from all these other groups that are trying to advocate for equality as well. Sorry. I didn't mean to take a dark turn there.
I was like, see, always say more conspiracy stuff.
I know.
No, it's good. No, it's good. It makes you think, because I'm just like.
But yeah, that's all I had on the conspiracy theories bit of that. But yeah, I think that there's definitely, like, people should be having conversation. I think, like, also couples couples should have these conversations and like actually agree. Or I think, like, for me and Rob, everything is equal. Like, if I chose to for example have an abortion, I would consider, I would not just go get it and say, oh, it's my right to do it. As a couple, like, we would sit down and discuss, what's the best options for the both of us. I think that's what people, should be doing, rather than just, sort of fighting against each other, try and, you know, include your partner. At the same time, like, you know, like there's just too many exceptions as well to, you know, just straight banning abortions. Like there are a
Yeah.
lot of factors that, you know, need to be considered as well as the, you know, your right to choose. And yeah, like I think that, you know, if you want your, you know, I think we all in general in life have a right to choose, even in the biblical sense.
Mm.
But yeah, that's all I have on the topic. Yeah, I think it was a really sensitive one. Very
Oh,
probably got the most responses as well. On it,
yeah.
it's still up. Like I haven't really looked to see if it's changed the poll results.
Yeah. See, I didn't even tell people, and people messaged or talked about it, and I was like,
Oh wow.
"Hey." Um,
Yeah, no, it's still the same.
yeah. Oh no, is it? No,
Oh
it's
wait,
changed. It's
no.
recently.
Yeah, no's gone up
Yeah.
62%. Wow.
Interesting. Wow, heaps of people
Okay,
didn't know.
very.
Oh wow. Holy crap. Sorry, I was just reading.
No, you're right. Oh, were there responses?
Oh no, I don't think so. But I didn't realize how much of a response we got from it. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Crazy.
62%. The final read. The final read is 62%. Um, disagree.
Yeah,
Disagree with
yeah.
illegalizing abortions.
Abortion. No, it was a
Yeah.
good topic. It needed to be talked about.
Yeah, definitely. Like hearing like, you know, a lot of opinions that, you know, there are some where I didn't agree with it, but I understood. Like, and
Yeah.
that's the beauty of having these conversations, that like, you know, you get
Mm.
where they're coming from. You might not necessarily agree with it or apply it to your own life, but you know, like you just respect people.
It's not
Just
that
respect
difficult.
people.
For me, it's not that difficult, man. Just if you don't like it, that's cool. Just you don't have to be angry and go crazy and want to fight people. It's just they didn't have the same view. That's it.
Mm. We actually got our first hate comment on our
You did.
about our previous episode
Like
on what's the topic? Oh, why do Polynesian men date white
only
women?
white
Yeah,
women.
and we got our first hate comment on there.
I love how we're so happy about it. We're just like, oh my god.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the person just went off the thumbnail that we put up. But and there was another one that, you know, as well, was going off the thumbnail until they watched the episode, and then, you know, we're like, oh, you know, I seen where you were going now, like, you know, I loved it and everything. This guy straight went for straight just went off the thumbnail and was saying that, in fact, he was saying, no, poly men do go for poly women, and also white men don't find poly men attractive. And I was like,
Oh, white women.
yeah, he said that white women don't find poly men attractive. I was like, okay. You could tell that was from an emotional point of view and from an insecure point of view. So
I was just
I
saying
just
some
said,
stuff, and I was like, no, that's me.
yeah. So I was just like, oh, you know, like just watch the episode. Like there is definitely
And
more context to it than what's displayed on the thumbnails. But thank you
love and
for
light, man.
commenting.
Love and light, my
If
friend.
you're
Love and
watching,
light.
thank you. But yeah, so I'll probably expect the same thing with this one. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think like I'm welcome, like, well, I welcome any comments, negative or positive.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It is what it is, man.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I am sad to see, you know, that happen in the US. When I first heard it, I was just like, whoa, like,
I was
you know,
mad.
yeah. I wasn't mad. I was just more like, wow, that was, you know, it was just so like done just like that. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I straight away got into my conspiracy bag. You know me. I always do that with anything.
That's what she does, which is good because it actually makes you think. You make me think more like behind of what I just see, and that helps.
Yeah. Oh, sometimes it's like just full of shit, and I'm just like, I do that with movies as well. I
You
like,
do
that's
do
my
that with
favorite thing.
movies.
Yeah.
You do do that
Like,
with movies.
when like, especially with a franchise like Star Wars, and then the new
Yeah.
one's coming out soon, and we're all like, you know, just discussing theories of what, you know, what we reckon would happen and stuff. Or what they're actually planning, and then it turns
Yeah.
out completely wrong.
Oh yeah, I was just saying it's a theory. It was only a theory, man. Calm down.
You know, conspiracy. But it's fun, and it's interesting, and sometimes it's actually legit.
Yeah.
But I'm for, you know, looking outside of the box, and trying. There's more to, you know, things or decisions that, you know, get put upon us, especially if it's like to control us. Like,
Yeah.
you kind of in a way have to look at, like, you know, what's the real reason behind it, like why did they, you know, it can't just be about this, you know. But yeah, but that's it on this topic for um abortions. Definitely a big topic that I know will be continued, um you know, I didn't even know what I was going to say there. But definitely people are still talking, will be still talking about it for years to come. But yeah. Um, and so anyway, that's a wrap for our episode this week. Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Also, if you're liking our content, please support us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Yeah, we would be so grateful. Other than that, be kind. Be
Please.
respectful, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.